I had a dream James and Jack threw out the first pitch at a Phillies playoff game. But both of them were on crutches on the mound, so I don't know what to take from that.
And it's a real dream?
It's honest to God, real dream last night.
I
do think they should be allowed to do it at one point. They are the voices of the fans, but the crutches thing was weird to me.
Well, I would say
Yeah.
so. Seltzer, better chance in 2026, you or Castellanos?
Well, you picked someone who actually I could beat.
How
about
I don't know. I'm asking. All right, so guys, let's get to it. Castellanos, we're going to give you a lot of information as we move forward. What Dave Dombrowski said yesterday, what Nick Castellanos wrote yesterday, what Matt Gelb reported yesterday, and, of course, our thoughts, plus yours at 215-592-9494. Look, a couple things from my end to start. I'm bummed that it came to this because, this is a player that did help the Phillies obviously surge. I'll remember the 22-23 surge compared to what it had been in prior years. So there's appreciation from my end for the good he brought. But the bottom line is he was largely, in recent years in particular, a disappointment. He did not live up to the contract. And obviously he was a bit of a malcontent. And you find out yesterday that he brings a beer into a dugout during a game in which he's unhappy, he gets benched. Look, you don't have to cut the guy for just that, and I don't think they would cut him for just that. Matter of fact, I feel confident they did not cut him for just that. The reality is good players get more rope. They obviously do. And a lot of players get to make a mistake or two or three or more that we don't find out about. But when you put beer in the dugout during a game as a sign of disrespect and displeasure with the manager, by the way, for a player who was a bad right fielder and deserved to be removed from the game, when you put that on top of really just a bad player last year, bad player, big contract that's just a drag on the whole overall operation, not to mention the fact that little hope for improvement, to me it makes sense to cut him. And it's one of those situations where, again, I'll say I'm bummed it came to this, but I certainly understand why it came to this. It makes sense to release him. It makes sense that he announced it because it was about to be reported that the frickin' beer was in the dugout. So it's a big old mess. I'm glad they're just going to move forward, but it's a bad way to end what had it initially in 2022 been a nice situation. Eliot, talk to me.
Yeah, so I've been an advocate all offseason of them moving forward from this core, right? I think they've had their chance. They've come up small multiple times, and they've not done that, right? So for me, what hits me most about Castellanos being released is it feels like all the fingers are being pointed at him for what has been a full lineup of failure over the past few postseasons. I can't defend Castellanos' regular season. He's not been a good regular season player. He's been, in fact, one of the worst regular season players. Not a good defensive guy. I get it. But when I think about after 2022, right, the 2022 was obviously the pendulum moment of this team so far. Since then, he's got more postseason RBIs than Bryce Harper does. So, yes, I agree. He's clearly had issues in the dugout. Bringing the beer in, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? But I can't sit here today and celebrate the release of a guy that over the past few years has arguably been their most clutch postseason hitter, and their biggest issue on the team is hitting into postseason. So I'm sure we'll talk about all the details of it. I'm not defending everything in there. But I don't view this today as like a moment where, oh, nice, Castellanos is gone, everything's fixed.
Well, I don't think anybody's, just to be clear, I don't think there's one Phillies fan in a good mood. I mean, about
anything or just
forget everything. I just mean this. I mean, it stinks that it came to this. It stinks that he stunk in the end. I mean, he stunk last year. Let's be frank about it.
Until the playoffs.
Well, look, what did he have? One at bat or two at bats?
He had them. I think he had this.
I know, but then he didn't, have a good lead, and he got taken out of third base and on the wheel play. Look, this is a situation to me where, regarding the incident and the beer, it's obviously very disrespectful.
Yes, agreed.
To the manager and the teammates, and we've been through situations in Philly sports before where a player, and sometimes they're like incredibly great players, like Allen Iverson, A.J. Brown. You're reading a book on the bench. Mm-hmm. Pretty good players like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, the reality is that, a very good player like Deshaun Jackson. I mean, look, these guys have to live together, travel together, play together, compete together. You're trying to pull on the same side of the rope. And when a guy in the dugout's like, screw this, beer time, and he was very clear yesterday that, he would have been drinking the beer, but someone grabbed it out of his hand. It's just really not cool. Now, again, I could overlook look at as a fan and as a team if he was hitting, forget hitting 300, if he was hitting 275 with a lot of walks and 27 home runs.
Well, if he was doing that, the beer thing would have been funny. Right? Like, that's the difference between a good player and a bad player and how we view things. So the fact that the beer is viewed as a negative to me just shows, obviously, he was not playing well, right?
Yeah.
But I think those things happen. And, it's stated in the article, Castellanos wanted to talk about it that day or the next day, and the team told him not to, right? So I think...
When has Castellanos ever listened to anybody?
Well, it's in this instance. Here's a example. Yes, I agree.
I'll say this, Rhea. I think they did the right thing trying to squelch it. I mean, let's put it this way. They squelched it for 7 months.
Well, sure they did, because we were all wondering what was said. We kept going, what was said.
Yeah.
The Phillies have mismanaged this.
100%.
What's so bad about this is this should have been done weeks ago. They weren't getting anybody to trade for them. Now what you've done is you started spring training with every player who's going to be grilled about this. Not like they wouldn't have been asked about it, but now it's the first question for everybody, whereas I don't think that would have happened if they had gotten rid of him 2 weeks ago.
Or you do it at Christmas.
Well, I mean, think about this. All offseason, and you guys have been hammering this point, like, are you excited for the Philly season, right, after how last year ended? It just started. Spring training just started. And what are we opening the show with the Philly season starting? We're talking about someone they don't even want on the team, and not a good story about the team in general, because it highlights the failures that they have had. The fact that they paid Castellanos, he didn't live up to the contract. The fact that he's really only being released because this team has not lived up to their potential as a whole over the past 2 years. So to your point, Rhea, like, if you do this 2 weeks ago, we're probably starting today talking about the beginning of spring training or the Eagles or whatever. Instead, we're reliving one of the worst moments of the season.
No,
Real quick. With the Castellanos thing, he was the worst regular hitter in baseball last year. Let's not forget that. This guy stole money. Money. I know 100%. He had some playoffs, but let's not go on about, he had a nice playoff. This guy stole money from this team.
But the playoffs matter more.
And acted like a malcontent the entire freaking time. Like, this guy, I am ecstatic. I completely disagree with Eliot. This is a day to be like, thank God Nick Castellanos is gone. I agree with Rhea. The Phillies handled it horrendously, but it is a good thing that Nick Castellanos is not on this team.
James, I agree with a lot of what you said, other than the thank God celebration part that you sort of alluded to, because to me, it's still $20 million of wasted money. So, like, it's not like I get the $20 million as the Phillies organization to go spend on some other player. The money's gone. So I'm not in a good mood from that standpoint.
Trust me, I'm not saying this is overall a good thing. I'm just happy Nick Castellanos is not a Philly. That's all I'm saying.
Let's listen to Dave Dombrowski, what he said upon announcing the news of the release yesterday. A little windy, so you're going to hear some wind whipping around. This audio courtesy of On Pattison. Let's listen to Dombrowski announcing the news yesterday.
We've officially released the contract of Nick Castellanos from the organization today. We've spent a prolonged time trying to make a trade. When I say that, trying to move his contract for minimum return from a dollar perspective and player perspective, but it just hasn't worked out. And at some point, you just have to say, well, this isn't going to work. We have felt that we need to get a change of scenery for Nick. Wish him nothing but the best. He did a lot of good things for our organization. He was here for 4 years. We won every year he was here. Got a lot of big hits for us, a lot of big hits in the postseason. So wish him nothing but the best, except, of course, when he's playing the Phillies. And, so that was the news for today.
Look, I'll tell you one thing going through my mind, and James, it kind of goes to what you alluded to. And by the way, everyone can weigh in, 215-592-9494. I mean, there's a lot of parts of this story to react to. One thing going through my mind, James, when you referenced that he stole money, and you're not wrong at all, he and Schwarber came in here within about, a couple days of each other. And at the time, they were fairly similar players in baseball, but Castellanos was viewed as better, as evidenced by a 5-year, $100 million deal instead of a 4-year deal that was in the $70 million range. I got one guy in Schwarber who last year was one of the 10 best players in baseball. It's one of the 10. I mean, he might have been one of the 5 best players in baseball. The man hit 56 home runs. Okay, I got the other guy who's basically unplayable. So hell yeah, he stole money. I mean, they're both advancing with age. One guy, like fine wine, became the best he's ever been. One guy became the worst he's ever been. Some of it is inevitable for some athletes, decline, age, all that. But I do wonder how much he really, with that contract, with that attitude, I wonder how much he busted it to try to get better.
So this
100%, Joe.
hold on, the idea that he stole money, right? I agree. Last year he did not live up to the contract in the regular season.
No, the whole 5 years he didn't live up to the contract.
I disagree though. Like he was part of a core of a team that brought us probably the best Phillies moment of the past almost 20 years.
But he was one of their worst hitters throughout this whole run, man.
No, but
he
wasn't
one
the
of their
last
worst
2
hitters.
years. But he was other than the playoffs. That's the whole point. Like the Phillies, the 2022 run and the run to 2023, he was one of the best parts of that run, hitting some of the biggest home runs. So I agree, as a regular season player, you're right. He did not live up to his contract. But if I'm the Phillies, this contract helped usher in and bring one of the best moments of franchise for 20 years, and that's just the fact.
No, Elliot, you're not wrong on the front end of
They
the
could have
contract.
spent that better. If they had spent that $100 million differently, they could have won a World Series.
Maybe.
He almost helped them win a World Series. They came within 2 games.
No.
And he hit. He has more RBIs than Bryce the last 2 postseasons. He's hit big home runs in the postseason.
His big postseason was 23, not 22.
Right. Well, I'm
in
saying
22,
that run.
all he did was make catches in 22 for the World Series run.
Did he help them get to a World Series?
With his defense,
Yes,
I
of course
guess.
he
But
did. So that's what I'm saying.
Hold on. Only because those catches look good because he's horrible out there. If it was a normal right fielder, they would have been normal catches. Like, let's not get carried away here, okay?
He was part of a core. We were at those playoff games together. Like, that is the best the Phillies have been for a really long time, and he was part of that. So I agree the ending was
So was
bad.
Johan Rojas. So was,
but in a very different way.
All right, hold on.
In
Look,
a very different way.
It's a complicated legacy. We'll ask you today at 215-592-9494 what is top of mind for you. I mean, 5-10 years from now, what are you going to think about when you think of Castellanos? And this morning, what's your reaction to all of it? If you don't know the specifics of what he said about the Miami situation and the dugout interaction with Rob Thompson, we'll get to that. We'll read you what he wrote yesterday. But look, your reaction from the contract to the good times, which there were, to the bad times, which there were, to the freaking beer in a dugout, to him getting released, and they got to eat $20 million. And to Rhea's point, did they completely bungle over the last 2-3 months how they did this and now put a lot of players in a tough spot having to answer these questions this week?